Whoa. Hi there, welcome to Terraland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Pisces energy. And like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Pisces energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Pisces energy. Because we all have free will and we have to make decisions in our life. And there could be a part, would like to move forward in life a little differently. Have a little more hope and faith and belief in ourselves or in others or in our dreams or in love. But in our shadow nature, we could listen more to our fear and our insecurity. If doing life differently requires us to not just how we think and how we feel, but something more external in the world, we might have to move away from certain people or jobs or quit indulging in certain activities or something. And we all kind of like to stay in our comfort zone, which is what the bottom row can represent. So we all tap. This might be something particularly going on with people who are a Pisces sun sign or have significant Pisces placements, but we all tap into Pisces energy to some degree because it does have to do with our dreams and kind of what we find emotionally fulfilling. And so it could, and there are two, just like all the other zodiac signs, we either harness those that are more high vibe, more worldly, or a more shadowy slant. And we're kind of looking for people who are kind of more on the same page as us to line up, I think, with kind of as many kind of ways that we harness some of those zodiac sign traits and characteristics. So maybe in Pisces energy, this is something that we kind of deal with right now. Okay, the reason for the top rose reading, it has the parents card, and that can also be the reason why the reading came out. The parents card reminds me of being in a more codependent relationship, and some people like more codependent relationships, like I'm the parent, you're the child, I'm like the boss, you're like the employee, I have more power status and my opinion or my truth or my viewpoint is more important than yours. And if you've kind of been in those kind of relationships, and some of you it is with your parent, could be interactions between you and a child of yours. But whatever it is, it kind of could have made some people feel like it was an imbalanced type relationship. Because high vibe energy is supposed to be about truth and love and justice and fairness and treating other people the way you like to be treated. And, if we're in a relationship because of love, that's why we should be in it, is love. And we shouldn't abuse the fact that someone else loves us to try to manipulate or control them, or they're more codependent on us. But some people do abuse their position and their authority, and sometimes they abuse the fact that people love them and they feel like then they can manipulate and control them. So some high vibe people saw the truth of it. They probably had to work through their own shadow nature of seeing the truth of it, why they would stay in a more imbalanced relationship. And the reason for the bottom rose reading is the building card, which reminds me of the Eight of Pentacles, which is Virgo energy, which is earth sign energy. We can have a job. That's like working together with other people. We have friendships, we have relationships. We're working with those people trying to build something. But we could harness our Virgo energy differently, and we could have illusions. Pisces energy can be about illusions about what it means to be in a relationship with other people. And some people think maybe you're supposed to be the more loving, nurturing person, and maybe they focus more on these things of the world. Well, that's okay if everybody appreciates what everybody brings to the table. But if they think what they bring to the table in a more shadowy energy is that they get to be more bossy and controlling of someone, that's going to probably cause a problem. And a more worldly focused Virgo energy that anyone can harness, their truth could be that love really isn't the driving factor. You know, it is to have this certain status and image and stability and security in our life. And that's why we get in relationships. And some people think if they do have more of those things of the world, the more loving people in their life should indulge them more. That's a shadowy relationship that you think for some reason you should be the more indulged person in a relationship. And that if you want to be abusive or you want to be controlling, that you can. Well, if there's some employers doing that in the workplace right now, they're probably going to have some people who are going to leave. If some people are doing that in relationships, you know, there's always going to be some high vibe people that are going to work through their fears and insecurities about why they would stay. And they're going to do the work harnessing high vibe Virgo energy to accept the truth. This is unjust. It's unfair. I am trying to have a relationship with another adult. I do not need a parent, and I do not want to be your parent. You are supposed to parent yourself. You are supposed to love yourself, discipline yourself. So then we can work together because we have learned to parent ourselves and love ourselves and put in work and effort to grow and heal and mature ourselves and quit acting like a child or wanting to repeat that old dynamic. I don't want to repeat that type of dynamic of a relationship. If you do, I'm going to go work with someone else. And you can go play out that relationship dynamic with someone else. So, because of some imbalanced relationships in life, we have the impulsiveness card. Underneath the building card, I saw the travel card, and they both kind of remind me of Eight of Wands, Sagittarius energy, fire sign energy. It could, to some people, feel like maybe if some people left a job, left a friendship, left a relationship, moved away from some people, it could have kind of seemed impulsive, but there was probably a lot of work and effort and thought and consideration put into it. And then kind of preparation. Well, there's some saying, what is it? When luck is when preparation meets opportunity. You know, some people could think, oh, that person just had a lucky break in their life. And how they get that? And it's like, well, it most likely there was work put into it. And even if it was just doing things within themselves to have a certain talent, skill, or knowledge, and then an opportunity comes along that they can, say, get a different job, some people could think that it just fell in their lap. It's like, no, they were doing work to be ready for when that opportunity became available, right? And then if you're in a more mismanaged relationship or imbalanced relationship, you know, you probably put a lot of work and effort probably trying to love and encourage the people you are in relationship with to work together with you to heal. And because Sagittarius energy is also about higher learning and education, you probably worked with people just like, you know, where you both could have been kind of loving and encouraging people to each other with some of the people in your life. But some people like you looking to them to play that role in your life. And if you've done this work within yourself that you're kind of ready to fly, to spread your wings, to go on. High Vibe Sagittarius is about going on this adventure in life, and life is about learning lessons. Virgo in High Vibe is about learning lessons. I learned the lessons I was meant to learn from that phase of life. I'm ready to move forward to go to like the next destination, just like we did going from age 15 to age 18 and 18 to 21. We had to kind of put away our more childish ways of being and viewing life and viewing ourselves and viewing relationships. That was a phase of life. Was it just and fair to view life the way I viewed it when I was at a certain stage of life? Yeah, that was kind of where I was at. It was my emotional maturity level. It was my truth. But now I'm ready to move forward in life differently, and high vibe people offer love and encouragement to people in their life to move forward with them. But they could end up realizing that they're the only one seeming to put in the work and effort. And that's when you can feel like you have some people in your life, someone who's not a child, but they want to emotionally be like a child, where you kind of indulge them in a relationship. That's shadowy Sagittarius, immature. And they want to work with you and keep indulging in it with you, but they don't want to put in the work and effort to work through their own shadowy ways of being. Bossy, controlling, prideful, manipulative, snarky, whatever it is. And eventually, people could communicate, because the wands are about communication. And for some people, they could be shocked, like, I can't believe you kind of are telling me that you're not going to keep indulging me in my poor behavior. So then in the top row here, we have the next 4 cards are in reverse. Betrayal, stress, paranoia, and decision. It could look like to the rest of the world that it was an impulsive decision that people made, but people probably were putting in a lot of work, and some of the people in their life were used to them putting in a lot of work to make things work, because that's what high vibe people do. But then when you see the truth that nothing is changing, and they've worked through why they would stay, by the time they work through all that, they're ready to move forward in life differently. If those people want to come with, they can come with, but no more of like the bullshit. No more betrayal. No more living more from your mind than your heart. So but the betrayal card can kind of be like the 7 of Swords, or people want to live more from their mind than their heart. They kind of want to be more manipulative or deceptive or controlling or immature, but they hope, because you so don't want to see the truth, that you'll keep living in denial of the truth. And it's like, I'm done living in denial of the truth, because the truth sets me free. And I see you keep putting a lot of work and effort to move things forward in your truth. Well, I'm going to stand up and put in work and effort to move things forward in my truth. And if that means you're going to go that way and I'm going to go this way, I have done the work within myself to accept that is a possibility. I'm not going to be up in my head about it. High vibe people can feel proud of themselves that they were loving and encouraging and authentic and truthful with people, to work together with them. And they're not going to be up in their head about it anymore. And the stress card can be like the 8 and 9 of Swords, which is Gemini energy, about our dualistic nature. I keep seeing their truth in their Gemini aspect of self, of what they love, what they want to make their life about, what they want to invest their time, energy, and effort into, is different than in my Gemini energy of self, of free will, what kind of drives and motivates me. And I've put in the work to wrap my brain around this game of life. No more illusions. I can have people in my life that I love, and I don't really want to hang out with them. I can wish them the best. Do I want to be more involved or hang out with them more than I do? Brothers, sisters, parents, friends, neighbors, work colleagues? No. Because I know what they like to invest their time, energy, and effort into, and what drives and motivates them, and how they choose to interact with people in relationships. If they can find people that are on that same way of viewing life and relationships and think that's just and fair, well, then enjoy. I just don't think it's just and fair. And I don't want to be in a more imbalanced relationship. So I'm not going to be up in my head about it. I'm not going to be stressed out about it. I'm not going to be paranoid about it. And I've already made the decision. Out of love for myself, I need to be a good parent, like, to myself. And if I'm in relationships with people who are abusing my loving nature or my wanting to put in work and effort to make something work out, but they don't think they have to put in that work and effort out of love for myself, is kind of like getting out of more codependent energy. And instead of looking for someone to love me or validate my worth and value, or the world to, I'm going to. And I could let my mind and my fear and my insecurities and all those things and my shadow nature run my life, which is probably what got me into some of the situations I got myself into to begin with. And if I don't want to repeat that old pattern, I need to work through those issues so those aren't more what I align with. I don't want to align with my own harsh, critical inner voice. If I do, I can get in lots of relationships with people who are going to want to join in on the chorus and be hurtful and unkind and belittling and berating of me. If I stay out of balance, I'm probably going to get in relationships with people who are out of balance in their own way. If I want, High Vibe Virgo is a stable, grounded, self-aware, insightful, has learned lessons in life type of person. And Sagittarius, motivated and inspired to face your fears, to move forward in life. Life is about learning lessons. Let's go learn some more lessons. And in our Pisces nature, let's listen to our intuition and our more hopeful, believing nature to guide us. Let love and intuition guide the decisions of who we invest our time, energy, and effort into. Then our fear and our insecurity and our codependency and our past pain and heartbreak. Let's work through those things so those things don't manipulate us anymore. Our own shadow nature is going to be sad because we grew up. And our own shadow nature wanted us to keep moving forward, letting our more worldly, immature nature drive our life. And then there's people in our life that align with our more shadowy nature, and they're sad that we emotionally grew up because they wanted to be in a relationship with us, but only if we're in a more shadowy energy. If we've learned to love ourselves and kind of discipline ourselves and have worked through some of our past pain, heartbreak, self-limiting beliefs, then we're not in the more shadowy energy. And there's other people who are sad because they wanted to be in that type of imbalanced relationship with us. And as we move forward in life and we offer other people, still offering people truth and love and encouragement, being authentic and loving and warm, we're going to meet other people that have went through similar life experiences. We're going to meet other people that are in more codependent energy. And we're going to meet other people who've learned to love themselves, who could just be looking for someone who seems to be, this could be kind of like your tribe, looking for people who are on the same page as you. When we quit investing our time, energy, and effort into the people who we know aren't on the same page as us, it opens us up to go on this journey of just helping other people, working through our own issues, helping other people, and offering love and encouragement to other people. But I'm not going to get in a more mismatched relationship again. And eventually I want to meet people who are looking for people who are kind of on the same page as them. Who, from a place, you can either be a bad parent or a good parent to yourself. You can have people in your life who you viewed as loving, who at one time maybe they were, but then As they had choices to make in their life, they could have become more bossy or controlling or more about themselves. And we're kind of looking for those people who seem to be people who are still more aligned with their loving nature than their not loving nature. So let's go look at the bottom row. We have trauma, relocation, speaking, listening, practice. Then we have a card not showing itself, which is painting. Okay. Well, so the painting card kind of reminds me of creative inspired energy, which kind of makes me think of Sagittarius energy, having that spark about you, which is about, I do write the story of my life. I do kind of paint the portrait of my life. And, if you are aligned with your more creative, inspired, intuitive, loving nature, that is what kind of makes the canvas come to light in our life, because otherwise we can be more like an animal or a computer. But some people do reject that, and they have the free will. I might not look at life from that perspective. I might not think there is any higher truth or justice or anything to aspire to in the world other than what the world says. And in their zodiac sign traits and characteristics, they could just all be more aligned with aligning with their more worldly view of life. It's about working with these things of the world. That's what we need to work with. That's what motivates and inspires me. And I want maybe a certain image or status in the world is most important. High vibe energy is a balance. Do we all want stability and security and enjoy some of the finer things in life? Yeah, but some high vibe people aren't willing to sacrifice. They want to get in jobs and friendships and relationships with people because they love them and they like the job. If you're going to spend 8 hours there, it's like, oh my God, I'm not going to. It's really hard to stay at a job that I hate. But other people are like, it's not about liking the job, it's about the money and the status, and I don't care. And they'll just plug away at a job they hate, because that's the most important thing. And other people, it's just not aligned with their truth, and it's more challenging for them to stay in something that they, because it's just that mix of balance of what is important to you, what's less important to you. And high vibe people, it is about balance. Yes, I want some of these things, but I also want these things, and I'm not willing to sacrifice those things just to have these things. I believe there is a balance. I just need to find people who are kind of on that same page and believe there should be more balance. Like if you are an employer, that you should treat your employees with encouragement, like being a supportive, encouraging environment can be a better environment to grow in, like being in the sun versus being in an environment where people are cutthroat and hurtful and backstabbing and insulting and everybody trying to one up everyone else. Is like trying to be a flower that's trying to grow when it's all storm clouds, right? And it's like, how do you expect people to thrive and grow here? And then, same way in relationships, people can be like, have this illusion that they can act in these more immature ways of being, or be more about themselves, or be more about the ego and image, not really maybe connecting in with their more hopeful, believing, creative, inspired, loving nature. Could even be people who look at a relationship more like a job. Well, if I want this outcome and I want these things, I should get in a relationship with these people or have these certain things. That makes practical and logical sense. And it could be more, it can always be trying to look for a better environment to be in than you were in before with the trauma card. But if we haven't really dealt with wanting to deal with the truth about why something didn't work out, how we could have contributed to it not working out, where we needed to heal and grow and mature ourselves, or see the truth about some of the people we were working with, I think we'll keep being kind of drawn and attracted to being in relationships with people like that until we are willing to deal with the truth. But some people, they try to present themselves as being a more loving, nurturing person than they are. They could be doing it out of their own more fears and insecurities, but they can be people again who look to get in a relationship for being in a relationship to be the answer to their problems. Like, look, it looks like I moved on. Look, it looked like I healed. Look, it doesn't look like I'm acting like I might have been acting before. And it's all for this purpose, maybe to restore their reputation, because they could have been in relationships with some people who called them on their bullshit, and that could have been a little traumatizing because they maybe weren't used to people calling them on their bullshit. So then it's just to try to go get in another relationship, and some people are very good at wearing false masks. I view Pisces as the Knight of Cups, which people who love love, they love being in relationships, how it makes them feel, but kind of not really wanting to deal with the truth that, it doesn't stay in the fantasy land forever. It does require some work and effort, and everybody is supposed to have to grow up and mature themselves some and work through some of their past pain and heartbreak. And some people hope that if they get in a new relationship and they could put in the work and effort, like they're driven and motivated by love, I'm going to speak and listen and practice, from all these different people I've been in relationships with. I've learned how they acted in these times, and I saw how they call it acting, because shadowy people, it is all about putting on a show, because they're really not operating from their more authentic, hopeful, believing, loving nature. They reject that. They live more from their mind than their heart. And they think it is that, that this is what everybody does, is what they could think, because this is how they think. And it's very hard for people who don't think that way to understand and believe that other people think that way. But they had their own decisions in life and free will choices in life, and somewhere along the way, they gave up on wanting to grow and mature themselves, and nobody has to. You can have a very immature view of life. I want to be in a relationship to feel better. I want to indulge in this and indulge in that and have these certain things, and I think I'll be happy. So long as it doesn't require me to maybe have to step out of my comfort zone, so long as I don't have to be in a more balanced relationship. I like a more imbalanced relationship because I'm out of balance because of some fear or insecurity or lack mentality or past pain and heartbreak I haven't dealt with. And for some, you just realize that was the people that you're in a relationship. They like those more imbalanced relationships. And they could wear a very good false mask. But then as time goes by, because working together with people in a more deep, meaningful, authentic way to really bring a dream into reality from love, they don't relate to that concept. It's like trying to fake the next level. I don't even know how to fake. I'm kind of faking the level I'm on. How do I possibly now create the illusion that I'm more inspired by hope and faith and belief and love? It was one thing to learn to kind of work together with people and learn how to maybe communicate and listen, and you kind of look at the practice card of kind of going with the flow a little bit more in a relationship. When you play instruments together with people, you're not supposed to be blowing your horn the loudest, and it is about working together in a group. And so some people have learned all those lessons so they can kind of present themselves as being a more high vibe person, but it's not, because it's really what motivates and drives them. There's an ulterior purpose. And other people that have been in relationships with people like that, they kind of learn to, well, they realize they needed to heal within themselves. That, if someone seems to be creating a little hell on earth with trauma card, in a world of duality, that means there's other people creating a little heaven on earth. Where am I going to stay? And some of the high vibe people did this work within themselves to work through their fears and their insecurities about leaving. And they were inspired to kind of speak their truth and maybe listen to their more inspired, intuitive nature than their more fearful and codependent nature. And there were some people they weren't willing to keep writing a story with or painting a picture with, metaphorically, because the end goal, or the truth of why they wanted to do it, and the end goal they had in mind, and the truth of why some other people were in it, and the end goal of what they had in mind was different. One was more about the world, or them being, an ego and image, and that was the primary reason, or them being indulged. And the other people are like, that isn't my, those things don't drive and motivate me and have as much of a hold on me as they do with you. As a human being who has my worldly nature, am I motivated and inspired by those things just like everyone else? Yes. But I'm more inspired to listen to my more harnessing these energies in a more high vibrational way. That there's a higher truth, there's a higher justice, there's a higher calling, and I have the free will to write the story of my life, paint the story of my life, and I can only manifest that with other people who are headed in that same direction and have that same truth. And we could feel like we had to move away from someone that at one time we viewed as a loving and encouraging person, and some of them were, some of them weren't. Some of them at one time they were, and then they weren't. And it was kind of a phase of being more independent. And that can be when some of the people we were in a relationship didn't want to keep writing a story with us anymore. Because that requires looking to the future, being inspired to move forward in life differently than they wanted to move forward, because they might have wanted to keep moving forward doing the same thing they've always done, and not being more inspired to do life any differently. And that's fine. Different strokes for different folks. But if sometimes shadowy people think you won't love and believe in yourself. And if they don't move forward with you in that way you want to move forward, and you're looking just for more equal give and take, and high vibe Virgo, I have my own unique talent, skills, interests, and goals and dreams. Could I have made my life more about you and yours? At one time, yes. It's sometimes our relationships a little more imbalanced, where I'm the loving and encouraging person to you, and then you could be more the loving and encouraging person to me. We can all have our highs and our lows, but I've had people wanting to keep moving forward so long as it was based on truth and love, and letting each person be their own individual, not more my way or the highway. Well, I had this dream. Well, I kind of had that dream too, but as we go through life, we do look at life differently. We don't even know sometimes things that interest us and that we'd like to maybe pursue. And in high vibe, it's from truth and love. It's like, I'm not trying to do anything deceptive or hurtful, but I do have my own dreams and aspirations and things that I enjoy doing, which I maybe didn't even know. Maybe, somebody decides they want to take up fishing. You want to come fishing with me? Fishing? No, I don't want to go fishing with you. I find it peaceful and relaxing. It gives me time to work through these issues within myself, and then other people cannot like it, and or just don't like you doing things that aren't more about what they want to do or something. So life's about learning some lessons. Some other people might have some lessons yet to learn. And, uh, you know, we can only do so much. And if they don't seem to be learning the lessons, where it seems like they're putting in work and effort, learning to temper their fear, their insecurity, their ego nature, their snarky nature, whatever, I think, it's maybe time for you to go work with some other people and realize it's not just me maybe trying to convey a message to you from love, that you could benefit from some healing or growing and maturing. And those people are going to have to go on that adventure. And if they keep repeating some of these patterns that are a little shadowy, to try to maybe manipulate people to get them to keep staying in a relationship with them, they're going to have more people who do the work within themselves to move away from them. And then sometimes shadowy people, they don't want to see the truth. Like, it's really traumatizing maybe for some of them when people don't want to stay in a relationship with them, but they don't want to see the truth. They could view themselves, well, but again, it can be more this image, like, well, I have this certain image in the world, and I have this certain status in the world, or I look this certain way, or I have this social cloud, or whatever. But they just don't get it. It's about not just doing these things and speaking these things and walking a certain way and acting a certain way. It's about really it being authentically who you are, authentically, not putting on a show. And that can be what they don't understand, because they might have worked with a lot of people in their life where it was all a little more superficial and shallow. And if you had a certain image or status or social cloud or looked a certain way, it might have worked out for those people. But the whole thing is, things keep changing, and what kind of worked in one generation doesn't keep working in the next generation, And some people want to stay in a time warp and like act and behave a certain way because that's what they like and that's what they grew up in and that's how they want it to be. It's like, well, the rest of the world's kind of moved on, and they kind of saw the good and bad things about that way of relationship dynamic or workplace, and they saw what were the good things and what were the bad things, and they're putting more work and effort to work with the good things and let go of some of the not so good ways, and they're moving forward in that way. And then they don't like that other people saw through the truth of the bad things, because they didn't want to get rid of those things, and they wanted to keep doing things with the bad things in the mix. Who are the people who most want things not to change? The people who benefit from it not changing. But if there's someone who isn't inspired to work through some of their issues, that's their free will. But then they have to find someone else to be in a relationship with who equally isn't inspired to ever work through some of their issues. And then together, it would be someone who they're more on the same page with. But sometimes they want to be in a relationship with some people who aren't like them. Well, if I'm kind of bossy and live more from my mind than my heart, I might not want to be in a relationship with someone like that. I want to be in a relationship with someone who is more giving and loving and nurturing and supportive and not manipulated by the things that I'm manipulated by. Because it's nice to be in a relationship with someone like that. But then they kind of try to control those people in a relationship because they don't want to put in the work it would take to get on the same page as those people, so as to try to stop them from continuing to like grow to their full potential, because they're happy at this stage and this works for them and they want to stay there. And that's when some people feel like, I don't think you encourage me to live my more authentic life, because in order for you to keep moving forward with me in that way, you would have to do some of this work within yourself, and you don't want to. And that's, you know, again, we have a dream. You had a dream it was going to be like this, stay like this. I might have at one time had that dream because I didn't know what would motivate and inspire me either. But then as time went by, that's part of going with the flow, is that we learn these lessons, we heal from things, we view life differently, we get inspired by new things, and we want to move forward a little differently than we had in the past. And some people are like, no, we're not doing that. I don't want to do that. And that can be sometimes when some relationships end. And some of those relationships, for other people going through those situations, they're having to decide, the people that are trying to manipulate and control people, the people in their life probably aren't liking it. And eventually the people in their life start to do these things because they don't like being in this negative energy, but they can't, we can't control other people. If they choose to act in a shadowy way, they do. But the people in their life kind of get inspired by all these different things that, all this life force, creative force energy in the world, like books and movies and music and art and nature, that we can kind of connect with, to just feel. A lot of these cards kind of make me think of being at a place of peace within yourself. And then sometimes the shadowy people don't like that. Well, why are you at a place of peace? You used to before really maybe try to maybe be more immature, or go indulge in some of the same things we used to indulge in, or make it more about me, or if I acted like this, you would act like that. And that's where it's kind of like this game we get used to playing with people. Well, see, watch this. I'll say this and then they're going to say that, or I'll act like this and they'll act like that. And it is almost where some people like playing games. I guess it's maybe a way of feeling powerful. And other people are just confused by it because they don't like to play games and they don't know how to play the games and they don't want to know how to play the games. But, you kind of get triggered into it when people act certain ways. And for a long time, people could have played the game. And then they stop playing the game. It's like somebody throwing you a ball and you're supposed to catch it. You just let it fall. It's like, oh, I don't want to play that game. And they're like, what? No, this is what's supposed to happen. I do this, you do that. And then I say this and you say that. It's like, I don't like that game. That might be the kind of games you like to play and the way you're used to relating with people and working with people, but that's not my truth. And I decided to just be more at a place of peace within myself, and I'm going to let you, do you like you do. I'm just not going to get in these shadowy energies about it. And that could be, with the decision card in reverse, for that's kind of maybe one of the steps that people go through, for now, and it's kind of also being a good leader in the world, which is high vibe energy. I'm going to focus on my truth and being motivated and inspired to stay in a place of peace and balance. And if other people in my surroundings want to do this or do that or act this way or act that way, that's their free will choice. But it doesn't mean before there could have been a part of me in my fire sign energy that would have wanted to go get involved in that, and kind of get triggered or respond in a certain way. And it's learning to temper yourself. I mean, there could even be people that you have love for, but they're acting in shadowy ways. And though there could be a part of you that would like to go take action towards them, it's like, I've already done it. And I've already spoken my truth in love. They're going to do what they're going to do. I'm going to do what I am going to do. I'm still wishing them peace and love, but I'm only going to work together with them if they are willing to communicate their truth and work together with me in a more just and fair and balanced way. And if not, then I kind of see the truth that that's not their truth. And then it could be one more time when someone does something and you could then, that's it, I'm leaving. And everybody else could be shocked because it seems so impulsive. It's like, oh no, there's a lot of thought and consideration and work that has gone on behind the scenes that people don't know about. And it's none of their business. But I had been doing all this work within myself to love and believe in myself. And I didn't think these people were being truthful or loving or just or fair. And I'm going to invest more of my time and effort into the people in my life who are on that same page. And the people who aren't can go invest their time and energy into whatever and whoever they want. So what's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Pisces energy that they might not see coming? And maybe for some, if you moving forward in a certain way, or if you've already kind of been moving forward and doing this work within yourself to love and believe in yourself, then it could kind of almost seem out of the blue if different people, things either happen for you that you didn't expect, or people do reach out to you. And again, there can always be people who just want to be the next person to indulge themselves in a relationship with you. And I think now you'll not get up in your head about it. You'll get to know people. You'll listen, to figure out what their truth is, not let you get triggered to take more impulsive, reckless action, to be grounded, be practical. Virgo and Pisces are on opposite sides of the zodiac wheel. So sometimes if you're a more caught up in love nature, sometimes you're not as practical and grounded because love. And sometimes people were too caught up in other things or their job or their career and not as willing to take action in love. And it's all about trying to find a balance between the two. And what's coming up for you that you don't see coming is a Chariot, which does talk about balance. And we have our light side and our shadow side. And it's our light side kind of more running the show in the driver's seat of our life. And our shadow nature and our more immature, impulsive, reckless, want immediate gratification. It's like, no, you got to sit in the back seat. And I am going to be a loving, nurturing person to my own shadow nature. That we have done it your way. It didn't work out. That was traumatizing. It didn't get us the results we wanted. We realized we have to work together and we need to be loving and encouraging. But my more hopeful, believing, loving nature is going to run the show. Why? And the Chariot talks about moving forward in an emotionally balanced, victorious way where you kind of move swiftly forward, just like Sagittarius energy, but from a place of love. Why? Because of the Six of Swords. The Six of Swords sees the truth of the Five of Swords. And we could have, before the Five of Swords is the Four of Swords, where we could have wanted to heal a relationship with people, but there was still conflict in the Five of Swords. And how we want to move forward and how people are moving forward, and what that sword of truth is that they move forward with. And you were willing to work through your own mental conflict because you did have a dream or a way of living life or viewing life. And it really forced you to, but there was a lot of things about it that caused you a lot of mental conflict. And it really forced you to get down to, what is my truth? What is more important? And again, we can all be tempted by these things of the world, and it would maybe seem like it'd be so much easier, except it's kind of working from more out of our shadow nature, or working with people who are shadowy. I was like, I can't do that. And you saw the truth of it, and you got in the driver's seat from love for yourself, for others. I'm moving forward in truth and love. Who wants to come with? And then there'll be some people who won't, because they kind of want to be indulged. And if you're not going to indulge them, they'll go find someone else who will. It's like, well, so be it. I have a dream. You have a dream. And I'm inspired to love and believe in myself and believe in my dreams. I'm going to give myself the things that I wish other people would have given me. I'm going to be my own best mother, father, coach, voice in my own head. To keep moving forward, keeping focused on the big picture in Aquarius energy. Keep looking at life from a bigger perspective instead of getting all caught up in my head and my fears and my insecurities. I'm going to keep moving forward in truth and love and justice and fairness, treating people the way I like to be treated. And the people who are inspired by that will move forward with me in that way. And the people who aren't, won't. And I'm not going to get my ego about it one way or the other, because they all got free will. And if they're not really more on that page with me anyway, my dream can't come into reality with them anyway. So I'm going to keep standing up and working towards my truth, and the other people are going to keep investing time, energy, and effort into their truth. So you're going to move forward victoriously and successfully, because you overcame harnessing your Aquarius energy in a more worldly way of being more about the ego or the image or things like that. What's coming up for the shadowy people that they might not see coming? The Two of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Two of Pentacles. Well, for one thing, what they don't see coming is, in our dualistic nature of free will, we can do this or we can do that. Like, have more hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in love and in our dreams and in others, or more about ourselves and the things of the world. And, some people are still juggling. It's like, I didn't even know I had to make a decision. I thought, we kind of got our shadowy nature, we got our loving nature, and I thought, we just didn't really have to pick a path. And it's like, you don't. It's just that some people do. And other people aren't juggling anymore. And so some shadowy people have been juggling. I don't want to have to pick a path. I can't decide what I want to do. I can't decide if I want to move forward with the more hopeful, believing, loving people in my life, and that within me, or if I want to kind of align with the people who might be more about indulgence or ego or money or something, or me. Well, they can keep juggling, and they're probably going to have some other people who pick up their investment in them, is what the Two of Pentacles can mean. Some other people have been wanting to work with them, move forward with them, trying to help them get more balance within themselves so they would choose love. And some of the people in their life, because they keep not being inspired for some to choose love, eventually some of the people in their life pick up their investment in them and move on. And then the people in their life who also juggle, which in shadow it can be like kind of being two-faced. Can't we present ourselves in the world as these just and fair and stable and grounded and loving people, but really operate more out of our fear and our insecurity and our pride and our ego and our past pain and heartbreak? Can't we all just stay in denial of the truth? And they probably have some other people in their life who are like that, who also want to keep juggling the truth that it's supposed to be about love. It's supposed to be about getting in relationships because of love. It's supposed to do work within yourself to heal from things that manipulate you so you can be more authentic and open and loving. And they have other people in their life that are like, oh, no, 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 we don't do that. Well, eventually they'll probably end up in a relationship with someone else like them who kind of juggles the truth. Yeah, I'll get in a relationship with you and I'll stay in a relationship with you. This looks good by worldly standards. You're not going to require me to grow up and mature myself. I'm not going to require that of you. We both might be more focused on these things we like to indulge in or make our life about. Perfect. Neither one of us really might want to really do more deep, meaningful relationships. It's kind of more superficial and shallow, and where we use our emotion. We kind of like use all of our talents and gifts and skills that we've been given. Our emotions and our sexuality and our charm and our body and our looks to manipulate people in a relationship. Yeah, I'll do that. I think that's just and fair. And that would be a just and fair relationship. Because they're in a relationship with someone who's more like themselves. And in order to make the relationship work, they both might have to kind of temper their more immature nature that would maybe like to go do some things that are a little more immature. And they might just work with it, trying to maintain balance in it, so long as it does work. But, shadowy energy can be where one person wants it a little bit more about them. And if one person acts out too much in their being more about them, and it could be a thing of going back and forth because, it's kind of like extending grace to each other, but where you kind of make it more about them, then they make it more about you. Then you make it a little more about them, then you make it more about them. And so long as they can find someone who's willing to do that, they might get in a back and forth like that. But I think the root cause for working in it and moving forward is some people like to be in a relationship just to rest within. And then when they feel ready to move forward in life a little differently, then they kind of move forward in life a little differently. And some people just look to relationships to kind of learn more things. But it's kind of about not learning the lessons and incorporating it into really who they are. It's just another thing in their toolbox, kind of, that they use to try to social climb in a way. So, there you go, Pisces. And sometimes we can get in these more imbalanced relationships because one person can be more loving and nurturing. It can come naturally to you, but you're not really getting a more just and fair and balanced relationship. And there's other people who want to take advantage of that. And everybody has to decide what's best for them. Feel like they maybe put in the work and effort so that if they were to leave, they have a clear conscience about it. I did what I could do. And if other people kind of haven't worked through some of those issues to move forward in a more emotionally balanced, authentic, loving way, then we are kind of headed in different directions. And I don't want to be in a relationship with someone that I have to discipline like a child. I want to be in a relationship with someone who I think has learned to love themselves and is able to keep things in perspective on their own. Do that work within themselves instead of always looking to other people to be the answer, because then you can become like some people turn to drugs and alcohol to be the answer to their problems, and some people look to people to get in a relationship with, and you're supposed to be the answer to my problems. But when is enough enough? Because none of those things or you is the answer to their problems. They hold the answer to the problem within themselves. But if that's not how they view life, if they start to feel like my issues are coming back up, if you were the right person, these issues wouldn't come up. So you must be the wrong person. I need to go get in a relationship with someone else. Or if you're not willing to play that role and take that responsibility, I'll go find someone who will. And there's people out in the world who want to play like parents to other people, men and women. And some people don't. And I guess it just is how you were brought up, your philosophy about relationships, and your idea of the dream life. And some people's idea of the dream life is, I do want to have people more codependent on me. It doesn't require more of me. It kind of is always them having to put in the work and effort, but never me. So there you go, Pisces. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.